Alright, welcome once again to Bonniehood Farms. Today I want to talk about the importance of calcium supplement in your snail farm. You have to put in all your attention. Calcium supplement is actually like a secret to success to most farmers. Only farmers who are young, who are new to the business and does not have appropriate knowledge that ignores the power of calcium in snail farming. The wonderful things calcium supplement can do in a snail farm can never be overemphasized. In fact, as a matter of fact, calcium supplement will solve most of your snail farming challenges, most of those challenges in your farm. So if you have not been using calcium supplement in your snail farm, you just did something bad to your farm, and you have to start using calcium supplements as soon as possible. The importance of calcium supplement ranges from egg, from raising of baby, from raising snails to point of lay, and to raising snails to laying, and even growing beyond that stage. So that means calcium supplement is needed in your farm every single time in your farm. Just like you cannot just keep snails in your farm without feeding them, it's the same way you need to have calcium supplement in your farm 24/7. Of course, there are different kinds of calcium supplements, different types, from different materials, and a lot of farmers use different types, okay, based on several factors, some based on experience, some based on what they were told or what they were taught, some based on what was recommended to them by experts. So it depends, and I cannot actually say which is bad and which is good, but then I can say that not all supplements will give you the exact same results you get from every other calcium supplement. So I'm saying that based on experience, and personally, if you ask me recommendedly, I would recommend oyster shell calcium, clam shell calcium, and eggshell calcium. These are the best three personally I would recommend for snail farmers. Notwithstanding, a lot of farmers also use limestone, and other calcium supplements. It is very difficult for your snails to have that professional look, that sharp shell, that full-fleshed, that good look on your snails, unless you give them sufficient calcium supplements. Now, these are some things you are bound to experience if you are not giving calcium supplement to your snails. The growth of your snails can be affected. That means their growth will be reduced. Sometimes lack of calcium affects your snails' appetite. Your snails could look dull, will stop eating, and stop almost every activity. And if this happens, they are bound to reduce their egg laying rate, which will definitely affect your overall production in your snail farm. This is very unpopular opinion, but it is real. Lack of calcium can even kill your snails, because once you don't have enough calcium, the snails look weak, lost appetite. Eventually, they are going towards mortality. They are going towards death. That is the truth. So, for you to be able to overcome a lot of unknown challenges, you must make calcium supplement one of your most important supplements in your snail farm. As a matter of fact, most times when snails start to die of unknown causes, when snails start to appear very weak, and a lot of challenges here and there, as professionals, what we recommend that you make a snail bath. Now, what is snail bath? In my ebook, I've taken my time to describe what snail bath is all about and how to do snail bath, when to do it, and why it is necessary. Okay, so in snail bath, what we do is we put water in a basin, put sufficient calcium supplement, preferably most of the time oyster shell calcium, and then we rinse the snails on it. This simple activity saves most sick snails, because when we do that, the snails absorb the calcium, absorb a lot of the calcium, and almost immediately they start to recover. When you find out that your snails are being dull, inactive, slow, and sluggish, most of the time snail bath solves that problem. If you find out that your snails lost appetite, they refuse to eat, and sometimes refuse to lay egg, calcium supplement takes care of that challenge. Of course, usually snails have accidents. They get broken shells from falling and from normal management activities, from one thing or the other. Sometimes they have their shells cracked. So calcium supplement will help the snails to recover the broken shells fast and reduce that accident resulting to mortality. Well, the truth is, when a snail's shell starts to crack often and there is no mechanism to put in place for quick healing, that snail is heading for death. That snail may not survive it, because heavy cracks, serious cracks, cause injury to their flesh, and that leads to serious mortality. So, especially those practicing soilless snail farming, in our trainings, where I train you on setting up soilless snail farms, managing soilless snail farms, I've always said that for you to be able to be successful in a soilless snail farm, calcium supplement is key, because there are a lot of risks of not making calcium supplement your best supplement for the snails. To avoid cracks, to help the snails to heal faster, both their shell and their flesh, as it also helps the snails to lay their eggs efficiently, bigger eggs, stronger eggs that will not break fast. A lot is involved. The power of calcium supplement cannot be overemphasized. It's not something you just talk within a few minutes. It's massive. It's massive, and only those who understand the value of snail farming actually takes calcium serious. Now, sometimes it usually happens, and most farmers actually encounters this. Your snails will lay the eggs. While laying, you just go there. After laying, you go there and you discover that some of the eggs are already broken. While carefully laid, some are broken. The reason is that you are bound to have snail shells that are easily broken when you are not giving them enough calcium, or you are not giving them a good calcium source. Personally, I recommend eggshell for baby snails, clam shells, oysters for adult snails. It does magic. So when the snails lay the egg, probably they lay the first egg, lay the second one, lay the third one. Sometimes the next ones they are laying, they lay them on each other. So if your snails lack calcium supplement, the next one they're going to lay on the other one would crack, will just break. Sometimes the two will just break. Those are signs that the snails lack calcium. And once you begin to have egg breaking of your snails, especially frequently, you just know that it is going to affect the total reproduction of your snails. For you to be a professional snail farmer, you have to understand that every step of the snail farming process is very important. Every single step is important. The reason why most farmers come into snail farming and in the next few months they are out of the business is because they have not understood what is important and what value should be given to that thing. As a matter of fact, when I started snail farming, I had a lot of challenges, and I once made a post on this on my group Bonniehood Farms on Facebook. I made on that post and I explained how calcium supplements saved my farm. As a matter of fact, I had a lot of challenges here and there. Mortalities in a day, I was having 3, 4, 5, and the mortality was so much. So somehow, tried this, tried that, tried several things, and I finally stumbled on calcium supplement. I did snail bath, I cleaned my pens, removed everything, washed the pens thoroughly, removed all the snails, did the snail bath, supplied a lot of calcium supplements, and it was just like a dream. All the mortality ceased. So from that time, I began to understand the power of calcium supplements in snail farming. The power of calcium. In fact, if you don't give value to calcium supplements in your farm, in fact, sometimes it's funny. I see people I have a farm, I have a dad. You ask them, no, they don't have calcium supplements. So if you don't have calcium supplement in your farm, what kind of snail farming are you practicing? No. You are not practicing snail farming. I can tell you for free. You are not practicing snail farming if you don't have calcium supplement in your farm 24/7. In fact, all the time. The same way you wouldn't want snails' food to finish in your farm is the same way you should not let calcium supplements finish in your farm. There must be calcium supplements in your farm all the time, because sometimes the advantages of what calcium supplement does for you, you may not even understand, but it is endless. So you must give that importance to calcium supplement if you want to take snail farming serious. And a note to take home, you have to understand that if you don't have calcium supplements in your farm, you are not serious. Sorry to tell you this, you are not serious. Alright, so I want to give you a free tip on what you can do, help yourself. So I'm going to talk on 2 or 3 calcium supplements and how you can process them easily. Okay. Now, first of all, I'll start with the oyster shell or clam shell. They are almost of the same family. Alright, the same family, and they are very effective for calcium supplements for snails. Both for snails and poultry alike. Very, very effective. So what you do is you get the clam. Let's say we are using clam shell. You get the shells, you wash them, you put them on fire. You heat them. It could be firewood, it could be gas, it could be electric stove, it could be anything you have, as long as it produces heat and has the ability to heat it very well. Okay, so you put it on fire, you heat it until it starts to turn whitish. Once it turns whitish, at that time it's become a bit brittle, in the sense that when you bend it, when you try to break it, it will easily break. Okay, originally clamshell is very strong. It's not something you can just break with your hands, but once you get to the extent where you hold it and you can easily break it, that is the state that is perfect for the snails. So when you get to that stage, you take them out from the farm, you allow it to cool, then you take it to the grinding machine, or you can also use the grinding stone, which is very good for use. I've described how you can use the grinding stone to process calcium supplements. Originally, when we started, that is how we started. We used grinding stones to process calcium supplements, and that is how we started producing calcium supplements, since we knew the importance of it. So you grind it to a powder, very good powder. But if you cannot grind it, or you don't have the ability or the materials or whatever, or you don't just want to grind it yourself, what you do is, because the head, calcium supplements have head, that is one part that is very strong. If you heat it very well, that side can also be soft enough to grinding. But if not, what you do is you heat it with a mortar or with a stick. Then scatter it a little bit. After you scatter it, you drop that strong part, that head, you drop that part and take it to your pen and keep it for your snails to consume. And then you pick the other parts and you take them to the millers. So you give it to them, they will charge you, they will help you turn it to powder. So there it is, ready for use. Preferably, I recommend that it is served to the snails in their food or in their water. Especially if you are doing your own formulated feed, you can add it inside the feed for the processing. You can also add calcium supplement in the snail's water. And importantly, you can also keep the shell without grinding if you don't want to stress yourself. You can put the shell in your farm and the snails will go and eat it. In fact, as a matter of fact, that is one of the good ways I use calcium, because if you don't want to spend money on processing, that is the best way to process them. You just roast them, heat them. After you are done with that, once they are soft, you just, not that soft but a little bit soft, when you can easily break it with your hand, you take it to the pen and just keep it at strategic places. So in that way, the snails will go there and eat it when they feel like. From there they help you. They help to give you eggs, helps to maintain their immunity, helps to stay active, helps the eggs to be strong and all that. So it's just so important. So it's the same way you process the oyster shell, the clam and the oyster shell. That's the same way you process them. Although the oyster shell is softer than the clam shell is stronger, the oyster shell is softer. So, and thus the oyster shell is easier to grind. If you are heating it on fire, it will be very easy to grind. Okay, so they are perfect to me. I feel those are the best calcium supplements to be used in a snail farm by any serious snail farmer. Alright, next you can use eggshell. Eggshell is also very effective, very good, and highly recommended. But personally, I use them for eggshell. I use eggshell for baby snails, and I use clam and oyster shells for adult snails. But though adult baby snails hatchlings can also take clamshell and oysters. It is perfect when you serve it half processed. Awesome. And you get a good result. So you can, if you have oyster and clamshell, that is okay. That can take care of both babies and adults. Okay, and they will give you good growth. You see them growing very well. You see them being very active. So we've been doing that for several years, and we've had amazing results. So most time we do videos like this, or when we are giving tutorials, we say these things. Most farmers just take it like, well, it's one of those informations. It's not just one of those information. This is something massive. This is something that will help you in your snail farm if you see it that way. Because not everyone will see what I'm saying as important. Don't forget to encourage us by subscribing to this channel. Thank you. So if you want to process eggshell is easier to process. You get the eggshell from probably maybe from the bakery or wherever, or the ones you used. You put them in a basin of water, you rinse them, you wash them, you rinse them, you wash them with different changes of water. When you're done with that, you now put them on the sun, dry them very well. All right, when allow the sun to heat them very well. Now the process of the washing actually helps to take out maggots and some bacteria and parasites that must have formed, on the shells, because egg is very rich in protein, and definitely there are some bacteria that must have accessed it. That sun drying is also a way of sterilization. Okay, so you dry it probably for a few days, especially at the peak of the sun when the sun is extremely hot. Then when you're done, if you have the time, eggshells has a white coating. That white coating inside, so you peel it out. If you can, you peel it out, but if you feel it's so stressful, you can as well just take them to the grinding machine and grind them properly. You grind to pure powder, and then it's ready to be served to your snails. So it can be served to baby snails, it can be served to adult snails. It will give you a lot of advantage. It will increase the growth rate of your snails. It will increase the sharp color, the beauty of your snails. It will increase their appetites. They will eat, they will move around. It will increase their activities. It will increase their egg laying rates and their overall well-being. So you see why calcium is so important. There are other types of calciums, like I said, several calcium supplements, other people use different purposes and all that, and somehow moringa leaf is also very important. Moringa leaf is also very useful for snail farming purposes. It has some good level of calcium, appreciable level of calcium also in them, and some level of protein also. So they are very rich foods that you should not play with. You must always have them in your farm if you want to have good results. So another unpopular calcium supplement a lot of farmers use also is snail shell calcium. Well, some of you have not heard of snail shell calcium. Probably this is your first time. So snail shell calcium is the calcium you get from processing the dead snail's shell. So in this way, especially farmers who know what they do, when they have mortalities, they gather the shells in one place, or after eating the meat of the snail, which is the flesh, you can gather the shells for this process. Get the flesh out of it, if it is from a dead snail, and wash it immediately before you store the shell. So that's what some farmers do. So after they've gathered the shells to a good number, they now wash them, re-dry them again under the sun. I mentioned some of the advantages of the sun drying, which I also said is also for sterilization as well. So you can actually decide to heat them a bit. Some choose to heat it up on fire a little bit, or you can just dry them on the sun. Very good sun. But if you have the fire there, you can recommendedly just heat it a bit. Then you take it to the machine to crush and grind it to powder. You can actually get it and use it just the same way you would use any other calcium supplement. So subscribe to the channel once again and enroll in our masterclass soil snail farming trainings. So this is how you can effectively use calcium supplement to advance your snail farm and increase its productivity. Calcium supplements are used in different ways, and in the course of the video I have also mentioned that if you're using oyster or clamshell, the shells can be given to the snail just like that to eat after processing. So another way is that if you are using the powder of these calcium supplements I mentioned and more, you can actually add the calcium supplement in the soil. If you're using a soil system, you mix it with the soil and then shuffle it together very well before you put the soil in the pen. In this way, the snails keep having access to that calcium while they go about their normal activities, and thus helps them to effectively utilize the presence of the calcium in the soil, and for a long time, of course, and which is very effective for snail farming purposes. So aside the soil, calcium can also be added in the feed. I also mentioned that it can be added in the formulated feed, but not just only formulated feed. Even if you are serving fruits, if you are serving peels, tubers, whatever you're serving, it can be carefully sprinkled on the food. Or you can even put it inside the food and then use a spoon and shuffle, mix properly, so the calcium could stain the food very well. So while they eat the food, automatically eat the calcium, and for a healthy upkeep. All right, so another way is you can put the calcium in the drinking water. So you put a water in a flat tray, a flat plate, and then you put the calcium supplement in it. So the snails will come in and swim on the water while they busy lick the calcium supplement. So in that way, it will easily, but snails love water a lot actually. So while they love water a lot, while they are trying to eat the calcium, they are automatically drinking the water, and while they are drinking the water, automatically they are eating the calcium. So it helps them in several ways, which I've already mentioned in this video. Another unpopular way of serving calcium is, personally I don't serve calcium this way, but some number of persons, some farmers actually do this, and I think is for them to be doing it, it means it works for them. And although I don't see any serious danger in it, well, personally it's not what I personally recommend, but some farmers does that. So that is, they put the calcium in a plate and they serve it to the snails dry. Well, the snails go eat and all that, but the reason why I do not recommend that purpose as I should, or that I don't recommend it the way others recommend it, is because dry things are not good with snails generally, especially something like calcium supplements, because dry things will dry the snails out, will fold, make them fold their flesh, and it will hurt the snails. Okay, that's the reason why I've not looked at that direction of serving calcium supplement dry to snails. People do that, and I'm not condemning it, and I'm not saying it's bad, plus or minus, but to me personally, I know, just as when you keep a snail on a dry sand, let's say there is a field, and then you take a snail and drop it on the sand, very dry sand, and there is a high possibility that that snail, even if it moves, it may not be able to move far, and it will die, because it needs the slime to walk around. And what the dry soil would do, or the dry substance will do, is that while it's trying to walk, the substance, the calcium, the dry calcium or the dry sand, will drag out the slime massively from the snail. So it dries out, actually, it dries them out. Even there's a farm I visited where they showed me how they serve the calcium. I told them no, they have to change it. But meanwhile, while I went there, I noticed that there are some of the snails were actually inside the calcium plate. They went in, they ate, and it was difficult for them to come out. So they were there. Now, the only advantage is that probably in the next 12 hours, or if it is in the evening, maybe by morning, the owners will come and check and remove the snails and put them in water and then put them back in the pen. But if that snail should go to that calcium, eat and probably climb the calcium, and it sticks to it, it will make the snail difficult to walk around. And that difficulty caused could adversely affect the snail in different ways. It can make the snail to just fall inside that plate, just stay there. And if you didn't check on time, that snail can also die. So I do not recommend serving calcium dry in a plate. And this is the same reason why sometimes you go to your pen and you find out that the soil in your pen is dry, almost dry, even if not completely dry, and then your snail starts dying. It's the same reason. Alright, so another way you can serve calcium to the snails is that you can actually get the calcium, put it in a plate, use water to moisturize it, add a little water into it, and then just mix it a little bit, and then you can serve to the snails, and that could be fine as well. Okay, so there are several ways you can do this, and you can also have good results for your farm. If you actually watch this video to this extent, I applaud you. You've done so well. And also do well to subscribe if this is your first time coming across this channel. Like the video and please share for more to learn from these valuable lessons. Thank you for watching and God bless you.